Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between.
Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Did you all have a good weekend?
We did. Family time, rested some, which is not the norm. What about y'all?
No. Yeah, definitely not the norm, but we'll take it when we could get it, right?
Yes.
Well, today's episode, I believe, is going to be a really powerful one. We have a powerhouse of a guest, Tracey Wingard, and an equally as powerful quote. Now, just an aside, and I find that we do this often, like we chose this quote for Tracey because she has it on her LinkedIn profile. So clearly it means a lot to her. But before we dive in and talk about the quote, welcome, Tracey.
Yay, Tracey, welcome. We are so glad you're here. We can't wait to dive into this quote with you and hear all the goodness that you're going to share. Macy, I have to say before we really get into the podcast, though, what you were just saying about us finding quotes on people's LinkedIn, people are going to start telling us no because we're like stalking them on LinkedIn.
But the thing is, they don't know. They don't know that we chose the quote until they
get here.
Yeah, until we send them the paperwork of like, this is the quote. Prepare yourself for the quote. So no, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
We're not stalking.
Well, Tracey, we really are so glad you're here. Why don't you go ahead and tell our guest who you are and what you do and let them get to know you a bit?
Okay. So my name is Tracey Wingard. I am the co-founder and operator and president for TNT NDT Supply. So we supply industrial inspection equipment. I am also a leader in our industry, so the American Society for Non-Destructive Testing. So I'm also the chair for Women in Non-Destructive Testing Council, as well as a leadership and development instructor. I'm super passionate about leadership and helping the future generations and building cohesive workforces. And so I devote a lot of my time, actually sometimes,
too much time.
Yeah.
Come sit by us, girl, because that is exactly what we do sometimes too.
Do you
want to talk about your family, kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I have two incredible boys. I'm married. I've been married 13 years, and we're high school sweethearts. And yeah, we have two big dogs. We just rescued a kitty cat. We live on the lake, and so we're a very active family. We're always on the go. Our boys race motocross. My youngest plays football in the fall, and so we're always traveling to separate.
Y'all are busy.
Yeah,
y'all are busy.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here. We know all of those different aspects of your life are going to really play great into the conversation. So here's the quote. When your why for overcoming the obstacle is greater than the obstacle ceased to exist. Then Billy Alsbrooks said that. So ladies, let's talk about it.
Now, just real quick though, before we dive in, and I had shared this with Tracey when we had a conversation, Billy Alsbrooks, I don't think is a household name yet. So if you don't know him, Google him and follow him on social. He has got like an incredible, amazing, like powerful voice, like tonality. He has a lot of great YouTube videos out there. My husband plays them at the gym for the kids to keep them going. And
Missy, yes. That name's familiar to me, Macy.
Yes, because Noelle had hired Billy to do a voiceover production for him. So shout out to Billy. He doesn't know me or us, but
shout out. Come on the podcast.
Yeah, shout out, Billy. We're going to tag you. So you need to listen to it because obviously Tracey, we took this quote from your LinkedIn profile. So talk to us about this quote, why this quote, share with us what it means to you.
Ooh. Okay. What the quote means to me, I think the most is about strength. So I heard the quote for the first time in 2017, in a time in my life where absolutely defeat, just drained. I was drowning. And I heard and it was actually a woman, God works in mysterious ways. She worked for a company called Arbonne at the time, and I think she still, works for them. And she just became a sort of like a mantle through that quote, because there was often times where she would remind me when I would start to make excuses or reasons why I couldn't do such and such, or it would just be like, well, remember why you're doing this. Remember, you know, and so at the time I wasn't able to walk.
Oh gosh.
And I was using a cane and I was in a lot of pain. And as a 26-year-old, almost 27-year-old, I was going through a lot medically at the time. And as an entrepreneur, I was just fresh out of, college, finished, moving on into my professional life. I had already had 2 children. I was at the time, my husband kind of to level up our tax bracket or our lifestyle to give our children the life that we wanted for them, to create freedom of time. He had to take a job that required a lot of travel. And so I was dealing with autoimmune diseases at the time. And that quote came back to me in 2019 when I received my diagnosis and through that time, it was really difficult. I was a frequent flyer of hospitals, always in there, surgeries, different things of that nature. It got me through that. I became plant-based by myself after I had a conversation with my doctor. After COVID hit, we were doing virtual, and I was significantly decreasing and declining in my health. And she just so it was at the point that they wanted me to come in and do the infusions, for, however long, and, put it intravenous. And at that point, I just was distraught. I didn't know what to do. And my husband said something to me profound that changed everything. And then the next day I came across this quote again. I had written in a journal, but he said to me, "It's okay, babe. Like, I know you want to travel the world, and we will. And if you're in a wheelchair, like, I'm just going to push you."
How
Yeah.
beautiful.
No, I love him for it, but that fire that I felt, because I was like, excuse my French, but hell no.
Yeah.
I'm 20. At that time, I was 28. No. And so
Yeah.
Imagine Dragons, the lead singer of Imagine Dragons, he wrote an article about one of my primary diseases, which is ankylosing spondylitis. And I have no cartilage in my left hip, and my spine is already fused to my pelvic bone. And at that time, I was running a successful travel agency, working from home, raising the kids so that my husband could travel. And so after he had said that, the very next day, from a journal that I had written in a meeting that I had with, my friend Leah, who shared the quote with me originally, and it just it became how I led my life. How I navigated every decision. It allowed me to say that, what is this vision that I have? And
I
then
love
to
that.
honor that every single day. It gives me strength.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I think for our listeners, you really have to take some time after this podcast to think about this, right? Like, especially if you don't already have clarity about what your why is, like what gets you out of bed. Take the time and dive into that, because your why, it really should be your North Star, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's that's like a good analogy.
Just like that quote says, when you really on a deep level know your why, any obstacle you face, and you're proof of it here today, Tracey, any obstacle you face, you will be able to overcome. Thinking about your struggles, can you share a time in business when your why carried you through a major obstacle?
Yes. So I started TNT 3 months after my diagnosis. I'm third generation. And so every day of my career, I have to actually use this quote, sits, and I actually tattooed it on my back.
Oh,
And
wow.
I did. So at the bottom, the base of my neck, it's tattooed on my neck, right above a large bull skull. So, for with the birth flowers of my why. And so in business, in trades industries, or what people like to call blue collar industries, women have barriers. But it's not just those barriers. Actually, I've read a great book called The Broken Wrong. It's about experience capital and things of that nature. However, there are very real misogynistic ideals that run rampant in trades. And and as a person who is, we don't handle disrespect well. And so I've had to overcome that a
Yeah.
lot because the passive aggressive comments, the the backhanded deals to push us out.
Mm.
And
And
you mean women in trade?
yes, women in trades.
Yeah.
And being a woman who is, and I hate this word, ladies, dominant, of a dominant structure. And the reason I do not like that word is because it's used as a barrier because I am outspoken or I'm too loud or I'm too extra. And it's all those reasons why they won't collaborate with me or work with me because
Yeah.
I'm all of these things. And so it is a daily battle. It helps me in business because in 2021, uh, I was hospitalized for COVID, and COVID almost took my life. And I was
Wow.
left with less than 80%. I'm sorry, less than 25% of the capacity of my lungs was gone. And they weren't
Wow.
sure that if I was going to get it back. But I still had my laptop in the hospital answering phone calls because that was only a year after I had started a business 5 months before COVID. So in an industry that requires face to face, our
Mm.
industry is primarily a generation. Well, in the world today, we are living and working in the most generational diverse workforce,
Yes.
Mhm.
and it can get a little complicated. And so it's an urgency kind of situation. So
Yeah.
there are other factors as well. I've gone through many life changes in business or in my personal life that would have normally affected my ability to do business every day, to wake up every day. A year ago in 2024, I was headed out to go to MRO, and hadn't heard from my mother-in-law, and I was doing a welfare check on her. And unfortunately, what I walked into was probably the worst, most
Mm.
traumatic event that I'd ever went through in my life. And unfortunately, God rest her soul, she was deceased.
Oh,
And
wow.
I stopped working for 4 months, and I managed the projects that I had to manage to survive the
Yeah.
business.
Right.
Mm.
But I didn't know if I wanted to do it anymore.
Mm.
I didn't know if I could.
Yeah.
And again, turning around, because you can't really see the quote on your back. Actually, it's a poor location. I should have put it on my forearm. But being able to see it, coming across a picture of it,
Yeah.
was enough for me of a screenshot to turn around and look in the mirror and hop, and start to find the ways, to turn that pain into purpose, because
Mhm.
you have to.
Yeah. You have to remember your why. I think a lot of leaders struggle in their role because they may not know their why, or they may not, because Missy often says you need to slow down to go fast. And a lot of leaders were always on go We don't take
Yes.
that time to slow down and say, okay, why am I really doing this? What is my purpose? Do you have any advice, Tracey, for someone who's listening who might be in a leadership role who feels like their obstacle, whatever they're in the middle of right now, is bigger than their purpose? Hey, bestie. I was thinking about our listeners this morning and imagine that so many of them are like managers that we have worked with from all over the world for the past decade, feeling overwhelmed and spread thin.
Yes, and they're probably finding themselves constantly repeating expectations, fixing mistakes, or carrying too much of the load, and it's time for a change.
At Impactful Messages, we specialize in helping managers in high stress jobs take back control of their team and their time. We know that they want to lead more effectively, increase team performance, and achieve all their goals without burning out. And we created a solution.
That's right. If you're solving problems your team should be handling, and you're explaining the same thing over and over again, and you're reacting to fires instead of leading forward, and you feel like it's all on you, you need to go right now to www.manager-reset.com and download our new guide.
And here's the thing, you don't need a new planner or another motivational quote. You need a reset.
So go right now to www.manager-reset.com for your free guide. You'll be so glad you did.
Not necessarily advice, but if they feel like the obstacle is bigger than their purpose, or if that's what they're feeling like, I think I would encourage them to find grace in that, because that means that your purpose is really big.
That's so good. Let me ask you this kind of a follow up for that, Tracey. Do you think obstacles are necessary for leadership growth? And then why or why not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because conflict is a byproduct of progress.
Oh,
You don't have
conflict is a progress.
you
That's
don't
good.
have conflict in your life, you're not growing.
Right.
If you have a team of people and everyone is the same and there's no conflict and you're not going through anything, you're not growing. You have to go through hard things to prepare yourself for what you want. The obstacles are preparing us. That's it. And if you can get through them, you're one step closer to the goal.
Yeah.
And
It's hard to think about that in the moment though, right? Like looking at
Sure.
that obstacle and saying like this is what like this is bringing me one step closer. For you, Tracey, when you've hit an obstacle, a wall, a conflict, a conversation that isn't going well, whatever the case may be, how do you decide whether you're like, I'm going to push through this thing and stay on course, or, okay, it's time for me to pivot or go down a different road to get perhaps the same or maybe even a different result? So, how do you know if you're going to stay on course or take a different road?
That's a great question, Mace.
anxiety. The Bible teaches us that anything that is anxiety is not of God. And so I think that if you can sit still in the quiet and let him lead you, and because if you let him lead you, you're leading yourself first.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, I'm going actually through something right now, and I can't necessarily talk about it right this second. Um, I've had to make a major pivot right now, a major life change with an avenue that I am a part of, or a responsibility that I have taken on. And I've made a final decision, but think these major decisions, the bigger the decision, sometimes you have to just take a step back and evaluate and assess. And if the conclusion continues to keep coming to the same thing, then it's necessary to pivot. Pivoting sometimes, we can, how do I want to put that? I'm so sorry, y'all. I am very good at making quick decisions. And sometimes I don't need all the information. But if we are pivoting, I think we need to understand, we need to look at how this pivot impacts and the chain reaction it will cause. Every decision.
I like that.
I like that too.
But I do like what you were saying, just real quick, Miss, because I know you probably have another question in mind. I like what you said. If it brings you a lot of anxiety, then that's probably not the road to go down. Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people do when they're making decisions or when they're following a path and then this obstacle comes up. Sometimes obstacles come up and they don't give you anxiety, right? They just come up and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm going to forge right through it. But I do like that, almost like that inner compass of saying, this doesn't feel so great, so it must not be great. So I like that. So thank
It's
you.
that law of intuition. It's that
Yeah.
like, right, this doesn't feel good. So I did have another question, Tracey. What do you think separates companies that survive obstacles from those that don't?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. Like when a company is going through an obstacle, they either get through it and survive and thrive, or oftentimes they don't. So, what do you think it is that separates those who survive?
Like, let me give you an example,
I,
Tracy.
I'm
Okay.
trying to
No,
take
no, no.
pinpoint.
Like, yeah, like for example, during COVID, a lot of companies didn't make it,
Right.
right? There was an obstacle, and some companies just they were not able to come out on the other side there. Even if you think about in your own town, probably like a lot of restaurants couldn't make
Just
it
didn't
through.
make it.
And
Yeah.
then some restaurants were like, okay, we're going to increase takeout, and we're only going to do takeout, and we're going to they had this like innovative idea on how to survive. So if you were asking me the question, which I know you didn't, Missy, but if you were saying to me, what makes companies survive in obstacles, one of the answers that I might give would be being in innovation might help a company survive.
Yeah.
So do you
I was
have
thinking perspective too.
okay?
Like, what's your perspective of the obstacle, right?
Yeah.
Like, your
Evolution.
attitude, your resilience. Like, I thought perception might be some of it.
I like perception, and innovation is great. Being innovative and ingenuitive are all great things. Uh, Evolution, people before profits. Um, it's the I like the innovation because innovation requires a team. And so if you see innovation, you see a cohesive team. Most often, if companies are innovative with, especially with technology, they are happy. If they're producing a lot of ideas, it's because they're, typically a good company to work for.
Yeah.
Not all bosses and managers are great, but evolution, being able to adapt, being able to make, being
Oh,
able
that's
to,
a good one.
Yeah,
Adaptability.
adaptability.
That's a great one. Yeah.
that was actually the word I was thinking on, originally, was adaptation, being able
Yeah.
to adapt,
Yeah,
uh,
that's good.
being able
Do
to
you have
evolve.
do you have a time, Tracy, when an obstacle forced you to realize some strengths that maybe you didn't even know you had?
Yes.
Do you want to share?
Yes. Just recently, I went on a personal trip by myself, my first one since 18, when I, had my first kid. So, or 19, but anyway, I digress. It was a Monday. Things were blowing up. And this is, 4 weeks ago. Things were blowing up. Direct to home business, manufacturers, things were just on fire. And I called my husband on Monday and I said, I gotta go. I gotta go. Like, I have to go. I need to mentally reset. Well, in that mental reset, with all the energy that I have that we talked about, I decided I was going to hike 11 miles up Lookout Mountain.
Wow.
And so I descended it, and then I, climbed it. And I brought a half a gallon of water with me and a bottle of Pedialyte. But I ran out of those because I didn't take into account that it was 98 degrees in Tennessee in July. And so I ran out. I had 5.5 miles to go and 1,100 feet to gain.
Wow.
And one of the strengths that I was able to realize in that journey, because I was hypertensive. I was stuttering when I got off the mountain because I had depleted my body. And so I walked straight into a gas station because I had to drive as fast as I could down the mountain because I needed something. Like it was, it was not safe. And in that, I learned a lot of hard truths about myself. One of those things was I like to do things the hard way.
Mm.
And with all of that, one of the strengths I learned is that I have the ability to trust myself.
Ooh.
And
That's eye-opening.
Yeah, it is.
I hindered myself for a long time, always questioning my decisions. And John Maxwell actually taught me, when you make a decision, you live with that decision, and because you can't live in regret.
Right.
And so I heard that, in one of the books I have read. I can't pinpoint exactly which one it was. And so that trust in myself, it's such a strength,
That is a strength.
confidence.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
confidence. I lacked confidence, and I got through it.
Yeah. You
Hit my
survived the
knees.
other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's so good.
Have the
Well,
story to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listeners, it's time for our big takeaway for the week. If you only take away one thing from this episode, let it be this: your why outweighs the what. Obstacles are always going to show up, whether in business, leadership, life, on a mountain. But when your why is bigger than the challenge in front of you, the obstacle loses its power. The difference between staying stuck and moving forward is knowing that you're fighting what you're fighting for and letting that purpose lead you.
That's right. Obstacles really do shape leaders. They don't stop them. Every obstacle carries with it an opportunity to grow and innovate and discover strengths that you didn't know you had. True leadership is not about avoiding obstacles.
Yeah.
It's about facing them with clarity and resilience and determination. I would say that the leaders who rise are the ones who let obstacles refine them, not define them. That's kind of
Ooh, that might be a tweetable.
I like that.
That might be a tweetable.
Well, I have to say,
refined.
yeah.
you
Well,
are.
Tracey, thank you so much for being here with us today. If our listeners want to connect with you, how would they do it?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. My name is Tracey Lynn Wingard. You can also connect with me, my first and my last name separated by a period, at outlook.com.
Okay. And we're going to put it all in the show notes so that our listeners can reach out to you if they want. Now, as we wrap up, we do ask this question of all of our guests. So what is, besides the one that we stole on LinkedIn, obviously that's your all-time favorite, but what is another favorite leadership quote?
I actually teach this to my children. Leadership, it's by John Maxwell. Go figure. I love him. Leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less.
That is
It's a great
absolutely
one.
true. Well, listeners, we want to hear from you too. Do you have a favorite leadership quote? Send it our way and we may spotlight it on a future episode.
And we'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do?
We're gonna
talk about it.
Bye,
Thank you, Tracey.
Tracey.
Bye.
Bye,
bestie.
Bye.
We want to thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.